Hey everybody, One Man Garage. Been a while. I've been sidetracked last few weeks working on remodeling stuff in the bedroom. So we got family coming in the holidays and hadn't been working on the cars for like a month. Starting to work on some of the Quadrajets, change up some stuff. I had swapped out the 70 model Quadrajet that was original to my red Cutlass wagon to a 78, 79 year model 403 Olds 800 Quadrajet, the later generation improved ones. And I had recalibrated that and getting good gas mileage and performing better. This particular carb I've had on a few vehicles over the years, and it's always been a good carburetor, idled good, drove good, but never got good mileage, even on a stock 350. And this part number, you can see them right up in there. It's 7040250. That's a 1970 Cutlass, 310 horse, 350 automatic. So I previously had already dropped it down to a 71 Jet with a 44B rod, and that's, to me, is still a lean setup, but it just never got good mileage. It had previously the original setup I never ran, which was a super lean triple step 52C primary rod with a 70 Jet. So I'm going to probably try this carb out on the 69 LeMans right there, because it's got that 750 Edelbrock on it on a stock 350, and with the 256 gears it shouldn't drink gas unless it's just all the carburetor. So I want to put the quad on, and so what I've done is I was about to go back to the pure stock setup with the 52C rod and a 70 Jet, but I just can't bring myself to go that lean. But I'm going to compromise. I just put a set of 48B rods, and I dropped it down from 71 to 70 on the Jet. So we'll just see how that does. That's a leaner combo than I would have put together in the past for part throttle, but compared to factory settings, it should be just fine. The other thing I did is I had a brand new brass float in the garage in my inventory, so I just put a new float in it as well. And then in front of us here is my 77 Pontiac Quadrajet that I just call my race Quadrajet, or my good Pontiac quad, that I've ran on and off many vehicles since, golly, I guess the 90s when I got this carburetor, and it was off of 400 from a 77 Trans Am, and I went through it and I bumped it up from a 72 Jet to a 74 and removed the choke, and then the primary rods are a 44K, and this thing just works fantastic on 500 horsepower, 455s, running 11s and a quarter. It's been on a 11-second 400 small block Chevy S10 that I had a long time ago. It's been on 350 trucks that were stock. It's been on 428, a Firebird convertible. Man, I've had it all over the place. I had it on my 68 GTO for a while, and even with a roller cam in that 400 GTO, it got almost 15 miles a gallon in the GTO with a 293 gear and a 550 lift solid roller cam on a 400. So one or the other carburetor could do probably pretty damn good on a 256 geared stock cam 350. So this thing, basically, I just got to clean it because I let it sit in the garage without bagging it, and the damn dirt daubers got in some of the holes and got dirt all packed in like they like to screw it up for you. So I'm just pulling it apart to clean it, take a look inside, and clean the top plate, and then she'll be able to just put it back together. But I actually want to try this one out in place of the 800 Edelbrock that is on the 74 C10 that we bracket raced all year, so I can finally get some good gas mileage, or better mileage. I think the best I got out of the truck was maybe 12 with that Edelbrock, and to be honest, we tried this carburetor on that truck between this actual carburetor and this one on a stock 350 that was in the truck previously, and the race 70 bigger jetted Quadrajet got 2 miles a gallon, 2.5 miles per gallon better. think this one got 12 in the truck, and this one got 14 something. So we're gonna put this back on the truck and maybe get to go run 8th mile over the winter and see if we can get a new best 60 foot and ET out of it. The fastest 8th mile per hour on the 454 truck was with this quad. It did, I think, 84 miles an hour in the 8th mile with an 8. It's still an 8.3's the bit quickest it spins, 8.30, but it's ran 8.30s with 3 different carburetors on it. So we'll clean this one up and it'll get a go on the truck again pretty soon. But we'll probably try this on the LeMans first in the next week or so. Well, got the 78 unit or 77 year model carburetor apart. Wanted to show you in the middle there. Do you see where the flap is notched open? I ground that open to complement the oversized little transition hole. A sign of a good performance model Quadrajet, early ones and later ones, that the diameter there is large on that hole. And the old 60s and into the early 70s Quadrajets had rectangular notches in the secondary blades to help transition fuel draw when you first hit the 4 barrels. Can make all the difference in bogging or not in a lean spot in between transition. And then they just did away with the notches, but there's still some carbs have little holes there and some have the big holes. And this was just the small low horsepower motor 400. This carb came off, but it still had the big holes. And then I used a Dremel and opened up the holes in the flaps to allow a little air to draw in front of the hole. It's like a velocity point during that transition on the secondary. And then pretty well got everything cleaned up, rinsed out, threw some PB Blast on the pivot points just to lubricate the linkage. And to compare, on this other carburetor, it has the small holes. I may have touched those with a drill bit slightly, I don't remember, but I notched these just a tiny bit, and this carburetor does perform well in the secondary transition, but the holes can even look smaller than that. I think I've drilled those out a tiny bit. But anyway, and if earlier I didn't get to the original settings of the 77 400 Pontiac carburetor is a 72 jet with a 45K primary rod, which is not a half bad starting point. The equivalent 350 Pontiac that year had a smaller 71 jet and 1 step richer 44 rod, and the 44K rod is what I like to use, is my choice, you know, when I build one of these larger primary, what they call an 800 Quadrajet has a larger primary measurement, a primary venturi, and basically like to run a 74 jet with a 44K rod. That's what's in here and that's what works. And you can lean it up just a touch, but it's nice to keep that ratio close. Like with a 45K rod, you could bump up the jet to 75. That's getting pretty rich. The same token, you could go down to 72 jets, about as lean as I would go in an 800, and run that 44K rod would be a pretty lean combination. But probably be buttoning this up. It's starting to get dark, and I'll be going out of town this weekend, but we'll maybe get to try out one of these on the truck of the LeMans next week. So be sure to watch and like, follow, subscribe. Appreciate it. Thanks. Well, back again. I was about ready to lay the top plate on. Got the meter and rod power, piston, float, needle and seat, all that in there. I was about to do the gasket, and then well, accelerator pump skirt is split. Of course, I probably put that on decades ago. I've been running this carburetor for 25 plus years. So I guess I won't put the top on. So, wah, wah, wah. That's alright. I may have a new one. We'll see.